So I don't think you need to make those kinds of, add those kinds of constraints to a property owner if you're putting other measures into place that take care of the ultimate problem, which is, as you point out, public safety. So I just don't want to presuppose what comes in the future as far as shopping needs and retail spaces. And I mean, these areas change so quickly that, you know, we couldn't have presupposed shopping malls would be out there so much, or whatever things came down, and regulation will stifle that next generation of building requirements. I think the better way to go was your original proposal, which is peer review, traffic studies, making sure that the public safety is always kept in the forefront. That will guide building size and all of that, because if there's too many cars, if there's too many curb cuts, if all of these things are just bad for the public, then the building won't be approved.
I appreciate everything you said, and I agree with everything you say in theory, but in reality, that's a reactionary approach. And what I mean is, you then are relying, you're sort of reacting to a developer rather than guiding them. And what the intent of this, the intent of the study was to deal with one of the most dangerous roads in Connecticut. It's narrow, it's dangerous, it has a lot of curb cuts, it has one of the highest accident rates.
Sure.
It has 1,800 accidents in 10 years on just that small stretch. And so it's been identified as a very dangerous road. And so the professionals in 2006 looked at the road and came up with a plan to limit the retail size to prevent overbuilding and those public health and safety issues and the impacts on the neighborhoods. That ended up in our master plan. The public was interested in having feedback on that, and we never allowed them to actually have feedback on it, because we respond to the public. We've been appointed by elected officials who the public have elected, and depending, it changes over whatever mayor's in place or common council. But we have a process in place where we have to respond to the public, and that's what the master plan does. That's what it calls for. And by just eliminating the discussion at a committee level by two people with all due respect, on the commission, when we have a body of research that has been done by professionals with national reputations that taxpayers have paid for, very expensive studies, and they've gone into all the nitty-gritty, and they've come up with ideas, and they've said if we build to a certain level, we have to expand all the intersections on Main Avenue, which means you have to take away parking from existing businesses. They have property rights too.
Sure.
And they need to be respected.
But there's also more than one approach. I mean, this is one company's approach to our master plan and our city of Norwalk. And I'm sure there are other routes, other ways to accomplish the same thing.
Well, hundreds of people.
Why are we paying for all these studies and picking these companies out if we're not?
This isn't just. But it actually made it into the master.
I wasn't a part of who picked the company.
Well, the master plan process was hundreds of people. It was years and years, as the staff would agree, years of vetting and discussion, and so that ended up in our master plan.
Is that there?
Honestly, I don't see this public cry for a moratorium. I don't know where you get there are people out there crying they want a moratorium. I don't see where you're getting that from.
I'm getting it from neighborhood groups.
Well, how many people? 20, 30 people?
Well, they represent communities.
If I thought that the moratorium was being done for more than one reason, and it's only being done for one reason.
No, there's no evidence.
Because you want to prevent one applicant.
There's no evidence of that, and you should not say that.
Before.
No, I've never said that.
So
I have never said that.
I
let me finish. I didn't interrupt you.
The moratorium wasn't meant. He wasn't really pushing for that. He realized that it was.
That's my view.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm not done.
Okay. I wanted. Okay.
I'm not done. Okay. Excuse me.
Not negative.
And I think it's being done for one reason, and I think that it's bad policy to do that for one reason. And I don't think a moratorium is needed. I don't think we have the consensus of the board that, and the last time we did a moratorium was when? And for what reason? And what was that for?
Workforce housing, or more, it was called moderate income housing.
Moratoriums are, they stifle development, they stifle, and it's a bad signal to the people that come in to work in our city.
Well, you're skewing.
That's my view, that's my view.
Okay, I respect that, but
But he did say
you're
that
skewing
just-
the rationale. The reason for the moratorium, a suggestion of a moratorium, was a reaction to the public feeling left out of the planning process.
I don't see that.
Yes, it was, because the public had no input over this commission's decision, two people actually on the committee, deciding that there would be no further discussion of implementing our...
After
No, many things come up in this
it wasn't
commission that
just
we never...
one quick
I know, but the
decision.
public never had any input on it.
We have
And-
a lot of discussion that the public never gets to comment on. I mean, this is just one of them.
Well, that doesn't make it right.
clarity on something as a new person.
Yeah.
So, just the whole zoning change thing. So there was a discussion about a zoning change. Now we're like talking about a moratorium. Was the public involved in the discussion with the zoning change? Or like we're sort of doing with
No
Marine?
different than
we have here.
No different than
What
what
we're
we've
doing
done
here.
everywhere else.
Yeah.
No different than any of this other stuff.
But the public, there was no public hearing, and...
But we don't
but-
have public hearings on any of this. I mean, we just haven't.
No, there should be a public hearing on a zone change that is recommended in the master plan, and recommended by a study, yes, there should be, and because it affects a lot of people. And it never was intended for one particular property, never. In fact,
This time it is.
no, it isn't. It is not. You have no evidence of that, Joe. No one has ever said it. No one has ever implied it. The zone change was recommended, it's right here, implement E3111 on page 37, implement the recommendations of the Westport North Main Corridor Study. This isn't from me. This isn't aimed at any one particular applicant. This is aimed at an entire corridor study that goes from the Westport border all the way around,
Well, you're talking
all the way up
about
to motor vehicle. I mean, it wraps through the city. It's 5 miles
We're
long.
only talking about Buchanan Avenue up.
Well, that is the zone change that we were discussing on,
So that makes it very suspect.
because that's the most dangerous stretch of
But
road
Mike, as I
in
mentioned,
Connecticut, or in southwest Connecticut.
I remember those discussions for this particular property that we're talking about, and you were very concerned that a peer review hadn't been done. It came up a lot. You used the term over and over again. And we've talked tonight about the fact that a peer review is a wise thing to consider changing in our reg. So had a peer review been done on the property in question, or any property,
But I'm
any
not-
large property, well, let me finish. If it had been done, as you had requested, and it makes sense, and had we done it, and the study came back and it said, okay, there are a couple of flaws, we see that these things need to be changed, and then you'd be good to go. I mean, if we approach it from the fact that any business that wants to do business in Norwalk, our job is to help business be successful, not to squash them, quell them, stop them from being successful by over-regulating them.
Then why do we
It is
have parking requirements?
Well,
What you just said exactly relates to parking requirements.
Exactly, and we are talking about changing that. So
Not
what I'm saying...
in row 8.
Let me finish. So, I mean, as you well know, and you've said it yourself tonight, and I've heard you say it other times, you do want to be business friendly. Everybody on this commission wants to see good things happen to Norwalk through business development. That has to happen. Has to happen in Norwalk, and it must continue. So if a traffic study had been done on a large piece of property that we were concerned about, and we know there are traffic problems in that area, and the peer review came up, okay, there's some flaws, but overall, yes, you can do it, but we recommend these changes.
But why would you let...
What would you have said then? Would you have still said that that's not good enough? I mean, because to me, a peer review would have been sufficient to allow it to move forward.
Well, no, I see what you're doing is you are actually misleading developers to invest all of their time and energy and buy a property where they think they can build something, when all we're saying is, well, we're not going to approve it because of the fact that that road is very dangerous. What the master plan suggested was following a national planning firm's recommendation to not allow that to happen. You don't mislead the property owner. You don't allow someone to buy a property in an area of the city where they think they can build something with the idea that the zoning commission always can deny it, when you can easily just put in their parameters to protect. Well, they were put in. No, hold on.
Why would you want
No.
to? What is the reason for
I'm not-
restricting the size of the building?
I'm not.
What's the?
To protect public health and safety.
Be very specific.
The
How?
traffic counts.
Okay,
on
we are
on-
talking about traffic. It all comes back to traffic.
Yes, protecting
We
public
come
health.
to a consensus here. I mean, we're not, I mean, is the consensus of the zoning commission that we're not interested in the moratorium? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that moratorium is the answer to the problem.
I agree with that consensus as well. I'm just, I presented a concern of the public.
Okay.
I do think that we need, going forward,
Oh, the one that we
to
were
think
talking
about how we are going to include the public in the process, whether we reopen that issue of a zone change on Main Avenue, which would be something that I think we could consider, or somehow get feedback from the public in some kind of a structured system where we get, and we've done this before on affordable housing, for instance, we've asked for comments. And we've got comments from people, and we got a packet, and then I don't know if we ever got to the point of discussing it. I think that was kind of got waylaid. But we did get comments from professionals, property owners, the public, and they felt like, and some of them were really in depth, and some of them were things that people had hired lawyers to prepare the statements. I mean, it was a very encouraging process where the public was involved in the planning process, and I think that the way that they did feel after that was just stopped was that here's something our master plan recommends, and basically just a minority of the commission decided that it didn't need to go any further. And of course people felt, you would understand that, people felt, like they were following this issue of the zone change, and then all of a sudden they were sitting out here in the audience and going, what happened? It just got killed, and we didn't even get a chance to talk about it in a public hearing. That's not the way that a public planning process should work.
Isn't necessarily.
Okay. Well, the point is made, and I really think I would like to leave with a decision that we will include the public through either of those mechanisms.
Well,
One, opening up the zone change again to go to a public hearing on Main Avenue.
no.
Well, it's not up to you, Joe. It's up to the commission.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah, I mean, you're not king of the commission.
I don't think the full commission, the 7 members, if you had a vote here right now.
Well, we would.
Mike, finish
But you're putting on the table now what you'd like
Yeah,
to see.
finish
So
making
let's-
your recommendation.
So
I want to hear
either that,
everything you
or the
say.
second one would be a process of opening up to public comment. There, and we would issue a statement from the commission, basically with a proposal for a zone change based on the study, and then we would ask for comment. And so that,
We'll consider that.
and well, can we decide that tonight? And
We want the other
I
commissioners.
think you need the rest of the
rest of the
commission
committee.
to be together for that.
so this will be on the agenda the next month.
I don't know.
well,
Joe, I think we can say we put it on the agenda.
I
don't
think
have a
it's a
problem
good
with
idea,
that.
and it's good, I think it's a good example for us, for future
Because there's only
things.
5 of us right now,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I would rather have Emily and me here, and,
Would you want it on, you guys want it on the agenda for next week?
I don't think there's
Next,
anything wrong with
Next
that.
month.
Next month?
Discuss-
yes.
meet
Yeah,
committee
I don't
meeting.
think there's a problem
Thank you.
having the discussion, I really don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, I think we're all
we
open
adjourn?
to public input.
And thank you for putting this on the agenda. It's been a very good conversation,
Okay.
Chairman Sanders.
Anybody, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I make it.
Okay, let's go.
Second.
Very fast